okay. Those aren't jokes. That's not clever writing. And I knew they would be lazy because they do that for a living. And I knew enough about like Tony Hinchcliffe and Shane and their backgrounds. I had ex-girlfriends blowing up my DMs that had dated Shane and were telling me stuff about him. So based on that, I was like, oh, these guys are pretty bad.
So you had something on him that you could have tell us now. What shit Shane?
It's just everything we know, that they're racist, that they're bigots, that they're sexist, that they think they're like invincible, that they've been canceled for being like, Shane got fired from SNL, but then was on SNL years later. So he got fired. So what happened in between those two events? So he believes, this is per one of his exes, that he's invincible. He's like, doesn't matter. I can say anything I want.
Yeah. Do you think that now a lot of like white comics, they feel as though that they can say something racist and it's going to further their career?
Well, yeah, they're going to get in with that group of like Roganites and that Austin group of Joe Rogan and all of those guys. And I just, like that's their MO. Even some girl comics have started to do it, to be like in with that group.
Kevin Hart had a roast on Netflix, and he had a lineup of comedians roast him, and they also roasted each other. One thing that stood out was the white comedians making more racist jokes than anybody else, which I get to a degree because it's comedy and it's a roast, but it can also be distasteful and not funny. Two in particular that are like going viral, being discussed is Shane Gillis said that Kevin Hart is so sure that he would have to be lynched from a bonsai tree. Like, the only aspect about that is the bonsai tree. Like, the bonsai tree is like a mad small Japanese tree or whatever, or Asian tree. But the lynched part isn't funny. Lynching is historically how people killed slaves, how people kill non-slaves, how people kill like black people from any area of America you can pinpoint. So not really funny, pretty like distasteful. But the second joke, and I think is honestly worse, was the George Floyd joke, saying that Tony Hinchcliffe said that George Floyd is looking up is looking up at us now, laughing so hard that he can't breathe, which is not only pointing that George Floyd is in hell, but it's also pointing to like poking fun at how he died when he was killed by a police officer that was kneeling on his neck for over 9 minutes. So that's obviously distasteful. That's obviously disrespectful. His family has came out and made statements. Other celebrities came out and made statements. But yeah, it's definitely not okay. And it had nothing to do with the Kevin Hart roast. It was like mad random. It had nothing, like, at least I understand the correlation with the bonsai tree, even though it was still distasteful, but there was no reason to bring up George Floyd at all. Kevin Hart has no correlation to George Floyd, so it's like it was genuinely unnecessary. But Tony Hinchcliffe is known for making racist statements and whatever, what have you. And he was getting called out for that like throughout the whole roast. But I say all this to say, there was a clip from last episode's podcast where Donovan was speaking out against George Floyd. He was saying that he said that George Floyd was a scumbag. When we brought this clip to his attention, to the podcast attention, and we got on him and say, it doesn't matter if he was a scumbag. You sound like a MAGA right now. And I want to elaborate on that. It doesn't matter if he was a scumbag. He could have been a scumbag or a deadbeat father or whatever. Nobody that's first of all, that's not why he died. Like, first of all, he was not killed by a cop because he was a scumbag or a deadbeat father or anything that you want to call him. He was a black man who was taking advantage of who was handcuffed, and a police officer kneeled on his neck while other police officers watched until he died. So that has nothing to do with who he was as a person. It like, and no, honestly, in no circumstances is that okay. Like, that's why people like the police officers are taught to detain the criminals or whatever. Like you're supposed to subdue them and get them to submit, handcuff them. Like, you're not supposed to just kill someone that's committing a crime, and he wasn't committing a crime. Um, Definitely not worth a crime worth killing. I think. I have the link right here. Pull this joint up. And somebody said that George Floyd died from a freaking overdose, which was false. This right here, I guess I should. I'll share it. Let's see. Share the screen. So right here it says George Floyd's cause of death was ruled as a cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement subdual, restraint, and neck compression. Medical experts and official autopsy reports determined that the pressure applied to his neck and torso restricted his breathing, resulting in a fatal lack of oxygen. So it was not due to an overdose. It was due to a police officer kneeling on his neck for over 9 minutes. But yeah, like I said, I'm bringing up all of this. I'm bringing up all of this because the clip of us talking about George Floyd and the inappropriate joke.
They was calling Kevin all type of coons and all that.
You already said looking up at us. That means he's in hell.
In hell, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
George Floyd was
peeping, I didn't even peep that because it's just like
No,
George Floyd
that's
was
a
a
fact.
scumbag.
Yeah, he's
though.
looking up at us.
I guess
It doesn't matter if he was a scumbag
No, I
or
know
not.
what I'm saying,
You sound
though.
like a MAGA right now.
No, he was a scumbag.
Okay.
Talk
George
to me.
Floyd.
Go ahead. I'm not gonna speak your mind why he was a scumbag.
He was a woman abuser, a drug addict. He was just crazy. You can look up his name and just see all his charges and all the crazy shit he did.
Got over, where is it? Got over 23,000 views on TikTok. And it also got a bunch of different MAGA and or racist commenters. Because in my opinion, if you look at someone's past as a reason to why they were brutally killed by police, and in the moment of them being brutally killed by police, their past has nothing to do with them being brutally killed by police. That to me points to you either being racist or MAGA or both. And I would love if I'm wrong, I would love for someone to prove that wrong, because in no other universal reality does it make sense otherwise. If this was a white man, no one would be like, oh, he stole from somebody 10 years ago. Like, no. And they wouldn't say it was racist either, anyway, because it would be a white man on a white man. It would be white on white. But if this was a Latino man, like if this was any other race, like it's just like you didn't do it. Like the cop didn't know George Floyd to do that. Like, and it wouldn't make sense to do that. It wouldn't make sense because I actually have his freaking his crimes. George Floyd was his crimes from his past. He has crimes of drug possession, theft, and trespassing, and aggravated robbery. Those are the crimes that George Floyd committed, which is irrelevant to his death. And they were committed in the 2000s. He pleaded guilty to the most recent one. He pleaded guilty to the felony in 2009 and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. He was paroled in 2013 and he died in 2020. So to bring up anything like from 10 plus years ago when talking about him being killed by a cop in 2020 is insane. Prior to his death in 2020, Floyd has no serious recent convictions in Minnesota. On the day of his murder, police were called to a convenience store because a clerk alleged Floyd had attempted to pass a counterfeit $20 bill. So even if he had a counterfeit $20 bill, that's still no reason to take his life. That's still no reason to kill him. There's still no, that's like, and you have to understand too, it's not even just killing him, it's kneeling on his neck for 9+ minutes. You know how long 9+ minutes is? It wasn't like a quick gunshot or any of that. It was 9 minutes. He enjoyed kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes. Anyway, got to unpack these comments. I'll probably only give like 5. Someone said, y'all made the same comments about, actually, let me put it on. Can I put it on here? Yeah, why not? Let's do it like this. Y'all made the same comments about Charlie Kirk. So what's the issue? You can't have a double standard now. If you're willing and okay to talk about one person, then you need to be okay when the other person gets talked about. Understand this comment because I don't know when I talked about Charlie Kirk saying like he deserved to die or whatever. But Charlie Kirk also was a man who spread hatred. Like he wasn't killed because he was white. He was assassinated because he spread hatred. George Floyd was killed because he was black. He wasn't killed because he spread hatred. George Floyd didn't spread hatred. So it's like, again, that's not even, to use Charlie Kirk doesn't make sense. One dude, listen to this one. This one says, one dude speaks the truth and the old dude goes straight to insult. He sounds like a typical Democrat. Why is being called MAGA an insult? I don't understand that. If he says he sounds like he's a Trump supporter, how's that an insult? And if he sounds like a typical Democrat, then most likely you're a Trump supporter, you're a Republican, you're a MAGA. So it's just like, I don't understand that either. You're siding with the young guy, you're siding with he speaks truth or whatever. So you guys are on the same side. So you guys are lying. So again, it's just like, is he going straight to an insult, or is he saying that he sounds like you? And like, that's why I couldn't argue with the Trump supporter. Shout out to the people that do, but it's like, it would be like a mindfuck for me. Someone said, this is what's wrong with politics. It takes away individual thought and you have to think like everyone else. Listen to the guy, try and save his opinion. Yeah, I don't know what that means. Oh, here goes another one. Funny how speaking facts is considered sounding MAGA. And this type of mentality is why it's always a system of the white man's fault for everything, but never their own. Like what? My God. And this is the type of mentality is why it's always the system of white man's fault for everything, but never their own. It's like I wish certain people couldn't comment on my TikToks or like any of my social media. I freeze. Yes, I froze. Come on, Jalani. Oh, okay. Because like that's so confusing. Again, you're a white man and you're offended or you don't like that he says sounding MAGA, but likely you are MAGA or you're tired of black people complaining about how they're treated by white men because we're being killed, where the topic is literally a black man being killed by a white police officer. So I don't know. And being the way he was killed was being kneeled on his neck for 9 minutes. So I don't know how, when you're like good, like any common sense could like point to you being like, how is that the black man's fault? Like, I feel like people have opinions on things because the things that don't happen to them. Like if your son or your dad was killed by a cop in the way that George Floyd was being, like the cop kneeling on his neck for 9+ minutes, I don't think you'd have the same ridiculous opinion. I think you might be outraged. I think you might like, especially if there was a pattern. If there was a pattern, like not just a one time or one off. If they kept killing people that looked just like you, I think you wouldn't be so okay with it. All right. Like I said, that little clip got talking about George Floyd and then the back and forth, the debate of whether George Floyd was a scumbag or like deserved to die, or I don't know. That got like 20,000 views on TikTok. I wanted to talk to them about it, the guys about it, but things change, schedules happen. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you think if George Floyd was a scumbag, is like relevant or like solid reasoning for a police officer killing him, kneeling on his neck until he died. From my perspective, that the two don't correlate, especially when his crimes are from the 2000s and he died in 2020. But y'all let me know what y'all think on that.
Hey, if you guys like this video, make sure you check out these videos where we talk more about music, dating, and real life situations. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Make sure you check out these videos and make sure you subscribe. Peace.